Welcome back to the Deep Dive. It is really great to have you with us.
It's good to be back.
This information is presented by Bluewater Auto Restoration. And, we are rolling right along here. This is week 7 of the 2026 Bluewater Auto Restoration podcast.
Already. It feels like the year is already finding its gear, doesn't it?
It really does.
We are deep into the rhythm of 2026.
It's flying by. And just a quick reminder for everyone tuning in, we release new deep dives every Saturday morning, so make sure you're subscribed.
Don't want to miss one.
Exactly. And speaking of the calendar, we have to acknowledge the date. Today is February 14th. It's Valentine's Day.
That's right. The day the greeting card industry tells us to buy chocolate and the florists jack up the price of roses by about 300%.
A little cynical, but probably accurate.
Just a bit.
Or, if you are anything like me, and probably a lot of our listeners, it's a day to celebrate the true love of your life.
Oh, I know where this is going.
That project car sitting in the garage.
The one that breaks your heart way more often than any human partner ever could.
Yes.
But is, significantly easier to fix with a wrench.
That's it right there. A human relationship is complex. It's messy. A carburetor is just air and fuel. It's solvable.
Solvable problem. I like that. Maybe you're out there listening and falling in love with a new restoration project this weekend.
Could be. And if you are looking for resources or just want to see some really incredible work, don't forget to visit the BluewaterAutoRestoration.com website. It's worth your time.
Absolutely.
We've got listeners catching us all over the place, so just another quick reminder that our podcasts are available on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or SoundCloud.
Wherever you get your audio, we should be there.
We are there. So, with all the housekeeping out of the way, what are we getting into today? What's on the docket?
Today, we're looking at a really fascinating shift happening in the industry.
I'm excited for this one. We're doing a deep dive into influential women in automotive restoration. But, and I want to be really clear about this right from the start.
Yeah, this is important.
We are not looking at this from a pop culture angle. This isn't a listicle about influencers who, pose on hoods.
Right. We've analyzed a whole stack of profiles covering the last 5 years of media, so television, YouTube, and social apps. The mission here isn't to talk about personalities or any of the social media drama.
No.
It's to look at the mechanics, the skills, and, frankly, the business acumen, the real substance.
And looking through all these sources, there is a very, very clear transition happening. It's undeniable.
If there's a thesis for today's deep dive, it is this. We are moving past the era of the female host as a novelty.
The novelty factor, yeah.
You know, the type someone put on camera just to hold a wrench and look good for the thumbnail while the guys do the actual work in the background?
We've all seen that show.
We have. But the data we have here suggests we've entered an era of credible, authoritative leadership. It's a whole new ballgame.
That is what gets me excited. We're going to look at the specific mechanics and skills these women bring to the table. We're moving beyond just, recognizing the names to looking at what they're building.
And how they're building it, because the methodology is really different between them, and that's where all the nuance is.
Okay, so how are we breaking this down?
Well, the sources we have today break down pretty cleanly into 3 distinct categories. We've got the television professionals, the YouTube creators, and then the social influencers. Each group is attacking restoration from a totally different angle.
And the platform really dictates the approach.
It really does.
So let's unpack this. We'll start with the big guns, television and streaming. This is the world of polished production, big budgets, and network executives.
And usually, historically anyway, the world of scripted drama and fake deadlines. But the women we're looking at today have somehow managed to cut right through that script.
They really have. And the first name that just jumps out from every source in this space is Christy Lee.
Christy Lee is a perfect place to start because she really represents that bridge between the old school of TV and the new school of, genuine expertise.
Most people are going to know her from All Girls Garage or Motor Trend, maybe Hot Rod Garage.
Right. But here is where it gets really interesting. The sources make a very specific point that she is not a novelty host. She is respected in professional circles. This isn't someone who just got good at reading a cue card.
No, and that's the crucial distinction. When you look at her restoration angles specifically, the sources point to drivetrain swaps and engine rebuilds. That's high-level work. That's not entry-level stuff.
It's the heart of the car.
Let's pause on that for a second. Drivetrain swaps. For the listener who might be new to the deep end of restoration, or maybe for the listener who, just changes their oil, why is that specific skill set the benchmark here? Why does that matter so much?
Okay, think of the car like a human body. The bodywork, that's the skin. The interior, that's the clothing you wear. But the drivetrain, so the engine, transmission, drive shaft, and axles, that is the central nervous system and the heart, all rolled into one.
It's the part that makes the noise and the movement, the functional core.
Exactly. And swapping a drivetrain isn't just, unbolting one engine and bolting in a new one. It involves geometry. It involves physics.
Things can go wrong very quickly.
Very. You have to worry about pinion angles. You have to worry about transmission tunnel clearance. You're often making custom mounting points. And now, more than ever, you're dealing with incredibly complex electronics.
Right, because if the angle of the drive shaft is off by just 2 degrees.
You get a vibration that will rattle your fillings out, or worse, you snap a U-joint at highway speeds. It's a safety issue.
It's catastrophic.
It is.
Yeah.
If the bodywork is a little off, the car looks bad. If the drivetrain swap is off, the car vibrates itself to death or simply doesn't move. Or, like I said, it becomes genuinely dangerous.
So by her focusing on that core system, she's staking a claim on the most technical part of the vehicle.
Precisely. It signals a high level of competency that you just can't fake. And the sources all highlight her hands-on shop work. It's not just pointing at parts for the camera.
No.
It's the physical act of doing the work. It's wrestling a 200-pound transmission into place. It's dealing with rusty, stubborn bolts that have been there for 50 years. It's the real unglamorous struggle.
And it seems like she's really leveraged that credibility across different platforms, too. I mean, the notes mentioned she bridges TV credibility with a live event presence and on Instagram.
She does, and what that does is it helps normalize women as technical authorities. It's a huge step. When you see her at a live event or on Hot Rod Garage discussing diagnostics on a high-performance build, it reinforces that this isn't a segment for television.
It's not an act.
No, it's her trade. It's what she does.
She's diagnosing the problem, not just announcing it for the camera.
That's the key right there. That diagnostic skill set is what separates a real mechanic from a parts changer.
Explain that.
Well, anyone can replace an alternator if you tell them to. You unbolt the old one, you bolt on the new one. But figuring out why the alternator failed in the first place, that's the actual skill.
Is it a bad ground somewhere? A short in the harness?
Is it a parasitic draw from another system? Is the voltage regulator bad? Christy Lee engages with that level of problem solving on camera, and that's what builds that respect. She's not just following instructions.
Okay, so moving on to another powerhouse from that same all-girls garage universe, but someone who occupies a very, very different niche. Rachel DeBarros.
Rachel is fascinating, absolutely fascinating, because she represents what the sources are calling the fabricator archetype.
And they describe her exactly that way. While Christy is deep in the drivetrain and the mechanical systems, Rachel leans hard into fabrication. So welding, metal shaping, custom design.
And honestly, looking at the history of automotive TV, fabrication is the one area that almost always gets shortchanged. It's the stuff that gets cut.
Why do you think that is?
Yeah.
I would think sparks flying from a grinder makes for great TV. It looks dramatic.
The sparks are great for a 3-second clip in a montage sequence with loud music.
Right?
But actual fabrication, it's slow, it's tedious, it's incredibly loud. Watching someone use an English wheel on a fender for 6 hours to get a compound curve just right.
Not exactly high-octane television.
Or watching someone TIG weld a roll cage where you have to control your breathing and your heat management perfectly.
Right.
It just doesn't fit the fast-paced reality TV edit. They want results now.
It's usually the stuff that happens during the commercial break.
It is. You see a rusty dented sheet of metal, you cut to a commercial for pickup trucks, and you come back to a perfectly formed welded panel. It looks like magic.
But Rachel does show it. The sources highlight that she does custom interiors, body mods, and what they call fabrication first builds.
That distinction feels really important. Fabrication first.
What does that mean to you?
It means she's building the car from the raw materials up, rather than just bolting aftermarket parts on. She isn't just ordering a fender from a catalog.
She might be modifying it or building it completely from scratch.
Exactly. And by showing the welding, by showing the metal shaping, she is validating that entire career path. The sources specifically note she has a strong role model effect for women who are thinking about entering the trades.
It's that old saying, right? If you can't see it, you can't be it.
In a way, yes, but it's also about demystifying the process. Welding looks like magic to most people. You're melting metal with electricity. It's alchemy.
It's intimidating.
Very. But Rachel breaks that down. She makes the industrial side of restoration accessible. She shows the setup, the different gas mixtures for the welder, the mistakes you can make. She shows that fabrication is a learned skill, not some kind of superpower you're born with.
And frankly, fabrication is the dirty work. It's grinding dust everywhere. It's getting burned by slag. It's noise. Seeing a woman not just participate in, but really embrace that dirty aspect of the build is a powerful statement against that old model with a wrench stereotype.
Absolutely. It proves she's in the trenches doing the hardest, most physically demanding work. There's no faking that.
So we have the engine builder and systems expert in Christy Lee. We have the fabricator in Rachel DeBarros. And then the sources bring up Bogie Latiner.
Bogie is, well, she's a force of nature.
The notes describe her as potentially the most technically authoritative person on this entire list. Now, that is a bold claim, considering who we just talked about.
It is a bold claim, but look at the context. She's on All Girls Garage, sure, but she also owns and operates Bogie's Garage in Phoenix.
A real shop with real customers.
A real revenue-generating, customer-facing shop. This isn't a set built for television. This isn't a found stage in California. It's a business with payroll and insurance and taxes.
That adds a whole other layer of grit to it, doesn't it? A layer of reality.
It changes the stakes entirely. When Christy or Rachel are on a TV show, if a build takes an extra day, the production schedule slides. It's annoying for the producers, but it's TV.
It's a line item in the budget.
Exactly. If Bogie takes an extra day on a customer's car, she loses money. She has to worry about liability insurance. She has to worry about warranty claims on her work. She has to worry about overhead and making payroll for her employees.
So when she talks about systems diagnostics, she's speaking the language of a business owner who literally cannot afford comebacks.
Exactly. If a car leaves her shop and the brakes fail, she gets sued. That pressure creates a level of technical rigor that is just different from building a car for a TV show reveal.
And the sources mentioned she runs a technician education pipeline. What does that mean in this context?
It means she is actively trying to solve the labor shortage in the trades. She's not just entertaining an audience on TV. She's mentoring future shop owners, automotive instructors, and the next generation of technicians.
So she's essentially building the workforce, not just building cars.
She is. She's investing in the future of the entire industry. And her restoration angle reflects that philosophy. It's all about systems. It's about ensuring the car runs safely and correctly, first and foremost.
Less about the flash and more about the fundamental integrity of the machine.
That's it. You can have a car that looks great and has a huge, powerful engine, but if the systems aren't integrated correctly, if the wiring is a rat's nest, if the brakes aren't properly balanced for the new weight, if the cooling system is inadequate, it's a death trap.
It's a shiny death trap.
Right. Bogie represents that systems side of restoration. She brings the professional life or death standard of a working garage to the screen. She reminds everyone watching that these are machines that carry people, that carry families at 70 miles per hour. They need to work, period.
So that's the TV side. We've got this polished, high-production world. But we all know the media landscape has changed drastically in the last 5 years.
It has completely inverted, really. The gatekeepers are gone.
It means we need to transition. Let's move to Section 2, the YouTube revolution.
This is where we move from the constraints of cable TV, the 22-minute episodes, the mandatory commercial breaks, the notes from network executives to the creator-driven world.
Total creative freedom.
And the sources point out that this allows for something TV really struggles with: longer-form storytelling.
And much deeper technical dives.
Oh, absolutely. You don't have a producer in your ear telling you to wrap it up because you're losing the 18 to 34 demographic. If you want to spend 45 minutes explaining exactly how a turbocharger wastegate works or detailing the process of porting a cylinder head on YouTube, you can do that.
And people will watch it. The right people will find it and watch the whole thing.
They will. And leading the charge in this space, according to our sources, is Amelia Hartford.
Over 1 million subscribers. I mean, that is a massive footprint. That's a bigger audience than many cable shows.
Huge. And the sources all label her the storyteller.
And for good reason. She has managed to bridge the gap between restoration, high performance, and storytelling in a way that feels very, very modern.
The notes mention her focus on performance Resto hybrids and modernized classics. Let's define that for the listener, because it's a different world from a concours restoration.
Good idea.
Okay, so a traditional restoration, which we will get to later, is about bringing a car back to exactly how it was the day it rolled off the assembly line. Every nut, every bolt, every finish is period correct.
Time capsule.
Exactly. A performance resto hybrid, or what's often called a resto mod, is about taking that vintage aesthetic, that classic look, and then shoving 2026 technology underneath it.
So classic looks, modern speed, modern reliability.
Exactly. And Amelia isn't afraid to cut up a car to achieve that. She does massive engine swaps, complete teardown builds, full shop-level projects. She took a C8 Corvette, a brand new car, and started modifying the drivetrain before most people had even seen one in person.
That takes some serious guts. And she's reaching a very specific audience with this, right? The sources all highlight a massive Gen Z and millennial reach.
And that is the demographic shift we are seeing play out. Traditional TV restoration shows often skew older boomers and Gen X who are nostalgic for the cars of their youth. Amelia is bringing that high-energy supercar culture and mixing it with the grit of actual restoration.
She connects the dots between car culture and building cars.
She does. She makes the restoration process feel like an adventure. It's high stakes, it's high energy, it's not a dry step-by-step tutorial, it's a narrative arc. There's a story being told.
Will the car run? Will it make the power number they're aiming for?
Will it explode on the dyno? That narrative tension is absolutely key to her success.
But, and this is important, she's still doing the work. The sources are very clear on that. This isn't just for show. She's in the shop, covered in grease, turning the wrenches.
Right. She's just framing it differently than, say, Bogey does. Bogey's approach is, here's how you fix this correctly and safely. Amelia's is, watch us try to make this thing an absolute monster. Two very different but equally valid approaches.
Now, on the complete other end of the YouTube spectrum, and I mean the complete opposite end in almost every way, we have Sarah N. Tuned.
If Amelia is the high-energy storyteller, Sarah N. Tuned is the purist.
The sources describe her content with one phrase: deep technical content, minimal fluff.
Minimal fluff is the defining characteristic here. There's no dramatic music, there are no fake deadlines, there's no manufactured drama where a part accidentally breaks right before the big reveal.
It's just the work.
Just the work. And she has a very, very specific niche, doesn't she?
She does. Honda restorations, tuning, and diagnostics.
Now, I have to ask, because some people listening might hear Honda and think, wait a minute, is that classic restoration? Aren't we supposed to be talking about Mustangs and Camaros and E-Type Jags?
And that is where they would be wrong. And honestly, where they would be missing out on some of the most impressive automotive engineering in history.
Oh, so? Unpack that for us.
Well, the sources highlight her obsession with OEM correctness and mechanical accuracy. Rebuilding a Honda engine, especially the high-performance engines from the 90s and 2000s like the B Series or the Key Series, requires incredible precision. We are talking about extremely strict tolerances.
It's more like building a Swiss watch compared to, say, an old tractor engine.
That's a perfect analogy. It is. A 1960s American V8 is a forgiving beast. It's big, it's simple. You can have somewhat loose tolerances, and it will still run, it'll still make power.
Right.
A high-revving Honda engine. If your bearing clearances aren't perfect, if your piston ring gaps aren't exact, down to the thousandth of an inch, that engine will grenade itself the first time you take it to its 8,000 RPM redline. So the purist label fits because she's obsessed with that mechanical accuracy above all else.
Yes. It's not about slapping a big turbo on it for YouTube views. It's about making it mechanically perfect. It's about respecting the original engineering. She uses plastic gauge to check clearances. She uses torque wrenches on every single bolt. She follows the factory service manual like it is a religious text.
And the sources mentioned her impact on a specific audience: DIY builders and real techs. Why that particular group?
Because real techs appreciate the lack of drama. If you are a professional or a serious hobbyist trying to learn how to properly rebuild a specific engine, you don't want 15 minutes of someone screaming at a camera or doing a comedy skit.
You want the information.
You want to see the torque specs. You want to see the proper technique for measuring a ring gap. You want to see the wiring diagram and have it explained. Sarah provides that dense technical information without any filler.
It's the nuts and bolts approach.
Literally. And in doing so, she validates the idea that restoration isn't just for 1960s American muscle cars. Restoring a 1999 Civic Si or a Honda S2000 to perfect showroom condition is a serious technical challenge, and she treats it with the respect it deserves. She is legitimizing the modern classic.
That is a fascinating contrast. Amelia is asking, what could this car be? Right. Sarah's asking, what was this car meant to be?
Exactly. Innovation versus preservation. Both are absolutely vital to the health of the car culture ecosystem.
So we've seen the TV professionals and we've seen the YouTube creators, but there's a third layer to this onion, a different kind of influence.
Yes. The static image, the short-form video, the overall vibe.
We're moving to section 3, social media and cultural influence. This is about how the industry feels to an outsider looking in.
Right. This is about reframing the image of the entire culture, because before you ever pick up a wrench, you have to be inspired to do it in the first place. Something has to draw you in.
And the first name that comes up here in the sources is Amy Shore.
Amy Shore is a fascinating case because she isn't primarily known for holding a welding torch. She's known for holding a camera.
The sources label her the aesthete.
And according to our notes, she has single-handedly reframed how classic restoration culture looks online.
Okay, so what does that look like? Because for a long, long time, car culture photography was, well, let's be honest, it was often a bit garish.
It was. It was oversaturated HDR photos, weird angles, often with models draped over the hoods of the cars.
It was loud, it was aggressive.
Very. Amy Shore went the complete other direction. Her visual style is elegant, it's period correct, and it's historically respectful. It's often candid, photojournalistic. It captures the dust, the oil stains on the floor, the fatigue on a mechanic's face, but it makes it look beautiful and romantic.
It makes a dirty garage feel like an artist's studio.
It does. It captures the romance of the build. And the sources mention her significant impact on the vintage collectors and the conkers crowd.
Conkers being those very high-end car shows where they judge a car based on absolute cleanliness and historical accuracy.
Exactly. Amy's work elevates restoration to the level of art or historical preservation. Her photos argue that these cars are not just machines to be driven fast, they're cultural artifacts that deserve to be preserved. She captures the story of the car and, more importantly, the person building it.
So she's influencing the why of restoration. Why do we save these old cars? Her answer is because they are beautiful, because they tell a human story.
Exactly. She captures the love affair people have with these vehicles, which, ironically, brings us right back to Valentine's Day. She photographs the love.
That is a great point. You look at her photos, and you finally understand why someone would spend 5 years of their life and all their savings on a heap of rusty metal. She captures the soul of it.
Precisely.
And speaking of the relationship between an owner and their car, let's talk about the final person on our list, Faye Hadley.
Faye Hadley. You might know her from All Girls Garage or her own shop, Piston and Pixie, but her social media impact is very specific and, I would argue, incredibly important for the future of the hobby.
The sources call her the confidence builder.
And this addresses a huge barrier to entry in this industry.
The intimidation factor?
Yes. The sources explicitly state that she champions classic car ownership confidence.
And that's especially important for women.
Right. The notes highlight that, yes. But honestly, it's for anyone who didn't grow up with a wrench in their hand. Old cars are scary. They don't have an OBD2 port to plug in a computer and tell you what's wrong.
No check engine light.
No. They make weird smells. They leak mysterious fluids. The brakes feel different. The steering is vague. The industry has traditionally been very gate-kept. The attitude was, if you don't know what a carburetor jet is, get out of here.
It can feel very exclusive, like a secret club where everyone else already knows the password and the secret handshake.
Faye's entire approach is education first and trust building. She explains how things work so they aren't scary anymore. She'll break down the basic chemistry of gasoline, the physics of hydraulic brakes. She removes the mystery.
Her restoration angle is interesting too. It's not just build it. The sources say it's maintenance, drivability, and preservation.
Which is the reality of owning a classic car. The restoration isn't done when the car leaves the shop. That's just the beginning of the relationship. You have to tune it, you have to listen to it, you have to live with it.
She teaches you how to have that relationship with the car.
She does. And that builds trust. If you know you can probably fix a simple roadside breakdown, or you understand why the car is making that ticking noise, that it's just a loose valve lash and not a catastrophic rod knock, you enjoy the car more. You're not afraid of it. You drive it more.
So she's keeping these cars on the road by empowering the owners.
Precisely. She's ensuring the longevity of the entire hobby by making the ownership experience less terrifying. If people are too scared to drive their classic cars, they just become static museum pieces and the hobby dies. Faye is the antidote to that fear.
So, okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. We've looked at the TD pros who are bringing high-level skills to the masses. We've looked at the YouTube creators who are redefining storytelling and technical precision. And we've looked at the social influencers who are changing the aesthetic and the confidence levels of the whole community. But we need to ask the big question.
The so what?
Exactly. Section 4. Implications for restoration culture. What does all of this actually mean for the industry? What does it mean for a shop like Bluewater? What does it mean for you, the listener?
Well, if we synthesize everything from the last 5 years, the data points to a massive, undeniable narrative shift.
Go on.
We have moved from female host to credible restoration authority.
The gender qualifier is disappearing.
It's becoming less and less relevant. It's no longer about, look, a woman doing this. It's about, look at that TIG weld, look at that engine build. It's about competence. The novelty has finally worn off, and what is left is just excellence.
That technical normalization is huge.
It is. We are seeing the normalization of women in specific hard skills, fabrication, diagnostics, drivetrain work. For decades, these were the men's only zones of the shop. You might see a woman doing upholstery or details.
Softer skills.
Exactly, but not rebuilding a transmission or fabricating a roll cage. That distinction is gone. It has been erased by these pioneers.
And the content itself, the types of cars and builds, has expanded. It's not just 60s muscle cars anymore.
Yes. The sources kept mentioning OEM-correct builds, drivability, and heritage builds. That variety is so healthy for the industry. It means there's room for the racer, the purist, the artist, and the person who just wants a cool daily driver. It's not a monolith anymore.
And I think the biggest takeaway for me looking at this entire list is the focus on the process.
Ah, that is a crucial insight. Yes, audiences now care about the process, not just the reveal shots.
We used to just want to see the shiny car at the end, the big ta-da moment where they pull the cover off.
Now, thanks to people like Rachel DeBarros showing the hours of welding and Sarah Entune showing the painstaking process of measuring torque specs, we want to see the work. We want to see the diagnostics. We want to see the struggle. We want to see the moment a bolt breaks and the whole project gets delayed.
Because that's where the truth of it is.
That's where the value is. The restoration is the process. The car is just the final result. If you buy a finished car, you own a car. If you restore a car or you watch someone else restore it in detail, you own the knowledge. You own the story.
That is a profound shift.
Yeah.
It honors the work. It honors the craft.
It does, and it honors the people doing the work, regardless of who they are.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, where do we go from here? What's the final thought?
Well, here's a thought to leave you with as you head out to the garage. If the last 5 years normalized women as authorities,
Yes.
the next 5 years might see a complete dissolution of the woman in restoration category altogether.
Meaning, we won't even need to have a deep dive like this.
Yeah.
The category itself will become obsolete.
Exactly. The distinction will be purely about the style of building. Are you a racer or a purist? A customizer or an OEM specialist? We won't say a great female builder. We'll just say a great custom fabricator or a great Honda specialist. The qualifier will be the skill, not the demographic.
That is the goal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just great builders building great cars. The work speaks for itself.
That's the dream. A true meritocracy through mechanics.
And maybe, just maybe, your next project should be inspired by the technical rigor of Sarah Entune or the fabrication bravery of Rachel DeBarros. Maybe you should try something that scares you a little.
I think that's excellent advice. Go weld something. Go check your valve clearances. Get your hands dirty.
Well, that is all the time we have for this week. This deep dive was presented by Bluewater Auto Restoration.
And a very happy Valentine's Day to you and yours, whether they're human or have 4 wheels.
Don't forget to visit BluewaterAutoRestoration.com. And you can catch us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcast, or SoundCloud. We will see you next Saturday.